Still that fear that something could happen because of the amount of stuff, the amount of kit we had on the Century Line made us quite a big target, I guess.
You hear the bombings daily, people getting shot. After the Dromore police station was hit, it was only weeks later that sadly the two guys who were in plain clothes, who were mobbed outside the funeral, dragged out and shot with their own pistols.
That is, everybody was allowed one phone call home to tell your loved ones, in my case my mum and dad, that I was going to a war. Didn't know when I'd be back, and not to worry that I would contact them in due course. Obviously they were worried sick.
Robert came home and he told me that they were going away, that he'd done all the necessary things, he'd written his will. He couldn't tell me exactly where he was going, but he'd always be safe. And I think that was the hardest time.
The people what we didn't bring back with us, and those who are still suffering today. You know, I still see people now if they come in from my old regiment.
Yeah, during the incident, it was just, like I said, routine patrol, driving along and just got hit by an ID. There was the three of us in the back of a snatch vehicle. Looking at the injuries, at the time I could see that my injuries weren't as bad as the other two. My leg was off and the other two were, as I just said, worse off than that. And that's basically how it happened.
Everyone's heard of the Second World War, and of course Afghanistan's still in the headlines. But a lesser known fact is that pretty well every year since the end of World War II, someone from the British Armed Forces, somebody's husband, son or brother, and these days their wife, sister or daughter, has been killed in military actions somewhere in the world. All of these conflicts produce statistics published in official documents, revealing numbers of limbs blown off and minds wrecked. The thing is, when that statistic is your husband, wife, brother, sister, son, or daughter, the story looks completely different.
Throughout these conflicts, young men and women have gone off to fight, and they've gone off with enthusiasm, they've gone off well trained, they've gone off well motivated. And after 4, 6, maybe even longer number of months, they come back. And what they find is a world that is the world that they left, but it's not the world that they were involved in on the operations. And it seems rather trivial to find people arguing about a car park space in Tesco, or whether the wheelie bin should go out on a Tuesday or a Thursday. And it's coming back into that world, which was their reality, but is perhaps no longer their reality, where people do need help.
You know, I still have days, even though I'm running a charity for mental health for troops, where you just sit on your own and think back and think, did we do that?
Confused, bewildered, frightened, angry, or just lost? Who'd blame them? Those who lost their legs have to learn to walk again. Those who lose their sight have to learn to live in the dark. And those who lost their minds, well, who knows what they have to deal with.
This is not something which is just new. It's been going on for 100 years, probably even longer, before we even started documenting. But it's something we've got to look at and help, and it takes the population to help you.
It may surprise you to know that some 6.9% of the prison population in this country are armed forces veterans, some young, some old, but the vast majority have returned from armed conflicts abroad, and they haven't been able to cope with life. Some have turned to violence, some have turned to drink, some have turned to drugs, but there are too many of them in our prisons.
You know, I came out of the army and did policing for 4 years, and came across some of my fellow comrades who really shattered, completely broken. They've just been trying to protect their country, and then they're paying with a total price in the end later on.
You'll probably also find it surprising to know that in this country there are over 2,000 charities registered to look after the welfare interests of servicemen and veterans. That's a tremendous number.
We've got people out there who are actually in dire need of support, they just don't know where to get it. The armed forces community, when they leave, is strong. The charity networks are really strong, and what Veterans Norfolk do is actually bring that together to find that person in Norfolk, in that little village, who can't find anybody, we find them and we get them the right support when they need it now, and if they don't need it today, they know where to go to get it tomorrow.
One phone number, one website, one point of contact, and they're on their way.
And Veterans Norfolk has been set up by all the service charities coming together. And the people that work in those charities are themselves veterans. They know the problems, they've been there, they've done it, they've got the t-shirt if you like. And most importantly, they know which charities can do what, who can help someone the best. And what's more, if they do it like that, they've got the clout to get a really effective outcome. We want people to get help that can really deliver something for them and not just be passed from one person, one organisation to another.
At last, a big solution to a big problem.
The practicalities are another matter. Veterans Norfolk needs a little bit of infrastructure. We need an office, can probably be a shared office. We need access to a telephone, so we've got the number that we can get out so that everyone knows how to contact us. So there are going to be some practical needs, but I'm very keen, we're all very keen, to keep the costs of this down as low as possible.
This is where you come in.
Our servicemen and women and our veterans have laid their lives on the line. Many of them taken life-changing injuries. They need your help. They put their lives on the line in the best interests and for the greater good of our country. But we need to help them move into the next chapters of their lives.
Veterans Norfolk is here to do that, because the need is as great now as it was then. Please, please give generously.